Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 6 of Gab with Sab. This is my podcast where I yap about myself, the world at large, and several nonsensical things in between. And sensical things, if I'm being honest. I don't want to put my content down as though it's insignificant. It's significant as fuck. So, anyways, I have a little bit of I don't know if it's clickbait because it's true, but I'm kind of like baiting you into watching this episode by saying something so sensational. So, before we get into talking about my reputation, I want to talk a little bit of activism stuff quick here. Just stay with me. There is a big, beautiful bill, quote unquote, going through the Senate soon, and it will be, if it is passed by the Senate, it will take healthcare access away, like the access to hormone replacement therapy, HRT, from trans adults, from almost 300,000 trans adults who rely on Medicaid to access that kind of life-saving care. And, well, we just can't have that. That's actually going to be real shit. And so, like, real shit, not only real business, but, like, real shit, like, that will really, really suck for those trans people to suddenly be, like, unable to access the hormone that their body has become reliant on. I also learned that people who have had bottom surgery as an act of, like, gender affirming care they end up taking hormones, I believe, for, I don't know if it's the rest of their lives, but they take now the new sex that they have adopted, not that they've adopted, what am I trying to say? You get what I mean. They are taking hormones now, and their body is gonna revolt at them. Like, they will become sick, ill, deathly, what have you, without access to now these hormones that were being paid for by Medicaid that are otherwise usually financially inaccessible. And it's just so whack. I mean, there's like a number of things going on with this bill, but I needed to speak on the trans oppression because my friend also has informed me, not only do I care about trans people, obviously, but they have been talking about how trans people are they're the scapegoat of the moment, and once trans people are deleted, from public discourse and existence, hopefully not, right? But once they silence and confine trans people, it is not going to stop there. It feels very clear that women are on the forefront, and immigrants, and et cetera, girl, nobody is safe. And so it is a slippery slope from removing gender affirming healthcare being paid for by the government to, women no longer being independent of men, which is crazy. And so I realize I'm making some big jumps here. I'm assuming if you're watching this that you are ally coded, and that you stand for trans liberation now. I just want to press the urgency that this bill has passed through the House already, and if by thin margins it's still passed, and so now there's only one barrier to the enactment of this bill, and that is the Senate, because President Trump has made it clear that he will be a big supporter and will be signing this bill. I don't have a good Trump accent, but maybe I could cook one up. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. So, anyways, contact your senators. I will try to find a link to or some kind of resource to put for Wisconsin people to contact your own senators. If anything, just to have your voice in the pile of being against this bill, and saying your constituents who you represent are not in favor of this, hate it. So we'll do what we can do in the meantime. And to my trans brothers, sisters, trans NBs, etc., love y'all. I don't like, I feel a bit at a loss of like what else to do, but I feel that at the very least, like speaking on it on my biggest platform, on my smallest platform, really. But advocate for this on my largest platform as well, which is Instagram. And yeah, okay, I feel I've said enough about this. Get to it. Okay, so this is what I clickbaited, and it's because I believe that I have tarnished my reputation in the Baggu Facebook page. It's been crazy, girls. So basically what happened is there was an exclusive print of a bag released through Urban Outfitters only at in-person stores. You could not get it online, or you could like pre-order some of them online, but like it seemed to sell out very quickly. And so there was a hunt, it felt, to like people were taking pictures of the bags being available in their city at a particular location to be like, guys, like look out, like it's here. If you want it, go get it here if you're in this city. But nevertheless, this left like tons of people without access to an Urban Outfitters nearby, or who missed the launch or the drop or whatever the fuck happened. Not important. Left a bunch of people wanting this new print of bag and being without it. So this print, for those of y'all who are wondering, is the Madras print. I'll add a picture here. Basically, it's this colorful checkered pattern. Like it's all just different colored squares that are aligned in a grid, but it's giving plaid, it's giving checkered, but it's a little bit more complex than that. And it's very colorful, very bright. And so I was like, hey, I know that we have an Urban Outfitters in Milwaukee. Turns out we actually have two Urban Outfitters. And I was like, I'm willing to bet that the baggu game is not as ravenous here in Milwaukee as it is in the like bigger cities like Chicago and New York, etc. Because like the Brooklyn girlies were like, I can't find it anywhere. Like it's not in stock at any of the Urban Outfitters. And I was like about to take advantage of being from a relatively smaller city. And so people were feeding for these bags on the Facebook page. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get the bags and give them to some people who don't have access to them. Like I genuinely and earnestly went into it with a kind of like altruistic means or altruistic motivation. Altruistic feels like the wrong word to talk about just like getting somebody a bag that they want. But I was like, I'm going to do this to give back to the baggu community. Now, when I went to the Urban Outfitters and I discovered that they did have these bags, I went ahead and bought two. I bought a medium crescent and a small crescent. And I was like talking to my friend that morning who like flips magic cards. And so I was like, maybe I should finance bro this. Like maybe I should make this worth my while financially. So I said, okay, maybe I should flip these. Like maybe I should actually try to earn some money off of this because like they're in high demand. And people on the Facebook page for rare items are upcharging all the time. So like I crafted this beautiful Facebook post where I was like, hey guys, I like would prefer to trade these, but I'd be willing to part with them for this much money. And then almost immediately, so my post did get approved by the admins because I hadn't listed the prices that I'd be willing to part with the bags for, which ended up being like maybe a like 75% markup. So the bags were originally $48 and $52. I marked them up to like 80 and 90. And because I was looking at Poshmark and they're marking them up to like 130. And so I was like, cool, not going to do that. That would be egregious. Okay. That would be outrageous. And so apparently $80 was also outrageous because the girls in the comment section were like, doesn't this break rule number 4? And someone's like, for real, LOL. And yeah, I remember these exact comments because I was shaking in my goddamn boots when I got them. I was like, breaking the rules? What? And so it turns out there's a rule that is no price gouging in the Facebook group with the subtitle, don't try to make money off of your fellow baggu girlies, basically. And I was like, okay, shit. This is what I'm doing. I thought that I did it under an appropriate guise. Like, I guess, like, I was being deceitful to be like, I'd prefer to trade it. And I, like, listed my in search of, because, like, if somebody had brought up anything in my in search of, I would have really strongly considered trading. But what I really did want to do is sell them, like, ultimately, because I didn't expect to get anything that I was in search of, because they're, like, such rare items. Like, I wanted the trippy checkered stuff. And nevertheless, did not pull out any trades, but people were in my comments like, oh my fucking god, like, she's about to be fucking dead because I'm gonna fucking kill her. People were not that aggressive. I, like, am playing up the, like, intensity of these comments, except for the for real LOL. That was a verbatim comment. But so the girls came for me, and I was like, yo, we're getting a little bit, like, aggressive here, considering that I just tried to upcharge on an exclusive and, like, limited access product. Like, so other people had been selling them at retail, and people had gotten their bag either buying it in person or ordering it online, and then they were like, you know, I just don't love it as much as I thought I did, or I thought I would, so, like, I am willing to trade it. Would it bring out this rare item, or would it bring out this rare item? Or, like, I'd be willing to part with it for retail. And so I was like, that's weird that nobody's upcharging it. I'm going to try. And so evidently figured out why no one was trying to do that. And I ended up feeling really guilty about this. Like, the whole day I was just, like, not in my stomach. And I was like, because I did this around midday and then got the comments in the afternoon. And so, like, the rest of the day I'm like, because remember, I went into this earnestly just being like, I'm going to give somebody else the opportunity to buy this who, like, didn't have physical access. And I felt really guilty. I felt like maybe this is, like, not in alignment with my values to, like, try to be an upcharge reseller. But let me tell you what I did do. I went ahead and sold them on Poshmark anyway, because I listed them on Poshmark because I had been on Poshmark to get some of my desperately in search of items. I had sold some shoes on there, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put the baggus on there. And so I put the baggus on there. I put them for, like, a comparable price of, like, 90 and 95. And because Poshmark takes fees, they take like a fucking whatever percent cut. Like, they take a big ass cut. And so I was like, I'm gonna put these up a little bit higher than I listed them on the Facebook page, but undercutting all the other resellers who are selling them for, like, Jesus Christ, for like $130. I think it's the garbage people. The garbage people are here. We'll give it a second. Okay, so while I'm fielding all these trade requests, because there are still some people engaging with my post and being like, I'm interested in these bags, like, I'll buy them for retail, because I ended up editing my post and reducing the price that I was selling the bags for to retail, because I just, like, also, like I was saying, I felt so guilty and felt so bad, and I was like, I don't think this, like, reselling life is for me, bro, because I did end up selling them on Poshmark, but let me tell you the grand total of what I made. $28 between both bags. Now, $28, nothing to sneeze at. That being said, this was for like, you know, 2 hours worth of effort to go procure the bags and then list them on the apps, and then also to, like, go drop them off at the post office and, like, package them and stuff. Not trying to say it's a ton of work, because it wasn't, but it was not worth $28 for me personally. So I will not be doing this again. But I have a couple follow-up thoughts. So one is that I said I was doing this earnestly to, like, give the opportunity to somebody on the Facebook page, because the girls were desperate. Like, people were listing their medium Madras crescent, and there's, like, fucking 12 comments. People being like, I want this, next in line, next in line, next in line. And so I just was like, I see a need, let me go fill that. And I just love to fill people's needs. I just love to solve problems for people. And then when I went to go return some other items that I bought at Urban Outfitters, because they got me, okay, they drew me into the store to get the exclusive item, and then I bought some of their other stuff. Okay, I had moments, well, I felt good about the things that I bought, but nevertheless, they didn't fit. So I went to go return them, and then I had brought them back in my, like, baggu reusable bag, like, to my reusable grocery bag. And the cashier is like, "Ooh, did you get the new print, the new checkered colored thing?" They didn't even call it by name. And I was like, "Oh yeah, actually, I did." And I sold them, like I flipped them. And I was like, "This is not for me." And they were like, "You're fucking joking." Because they were like, "We're all out of medium crescents. Like there's no medium crescents in Milwaukee. And I need one so bad." And I was like, "Ooh, I feared that I bought one and I sold it." Ooh. But also, like, this person works at Urban Outfitters. Like, how did they not get first grabs or like first access? Like, I didn't buy these at the launch. It had been like, you know, several days that these bags were available. And so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But that did make me feel bad, where I was like, ooh, like I took away the opportunity from somebody in Milwaukee to get one. And isn't that just too bad? I was like, I feel that this is karma showing me like, hey, this is the impact of your actions. You get other people who are sad because you went out of the way to make some people happy, didn't even make them happy, also did not end up selling it to anybody on the Facebook page in the first place. So my earnesty counts for nothing. I feel that I like succumbed to being a reseller, and I'll tell you what, I just realized that this life is not for me. Like, and we'll leave it at that. So this is my like the big story of this. I've got a lot of other shit I want to talk about in this episode. Like I might split it into two. But I'm gonna take a break here and we'll get a word from our sponsor. Hi everybody. So this episode is gonna be brought to you by my kitty Millie, who doesn't want to be here, but she's, look at her. Look at this baby. Oh yeah. Okay, bye Mill. Love you so much, girl. Sorry, you were up here and I took you down. Oh, bye. Anyways, Millie says that she loves you, and she also says to hit the like and the subscribe and leave a comment, so I don't know. Maybe you didn't hear her say that. So, as it turns out, unsurprisingly, I have more to say about this. I also look different now. That's because I went ahead and lost the footage for this. I'm gonna scream. As y'all know, this is not my first time. But honestly, I was saying some bullshit anyway, so like I kind of wanna redo. So, anywho, I wanted to say that I have had a change of heart a little bit on how I feel about this whole baggu situation, because I have been talking about it with my friends, and I've been like, so actually, what is the difference between me upcharging for this new exclusive item and other people upcharging for other rare items that are like no longer being produced by baggu themselves? Because that happens all the time in the Facebook page. Like, people understand that like different colors or different styles or whatever are like more exclusive now because they're no longer in production, because there was a limited run of them, because they were so popular. And so I'm like, what is the difference? Like, am I just price gouging because this thing is new? And I don't know. I just don't think I get it. So I was thinking about making a post in the Facebook page and being like, so what's the difference between me doing this and y'all doing this? Interesting. But I'm not trying to start beef in this page. Like, I feel that I had my little taste of sour comments, and I was like, this makes my tummy hurt. Like, I really don't like this. So this is all to say that I do feel a little guilty, but now I feel a lot less guilty. I still do think that the resale upcharging game is not for me, and I'm maybe just not a good enough barterer to really, I don't know, play the baggu Facebook game successfully. So, whatever. Let me know how you feel about this down in the comments. Like, after hearing me describe it in detail, are you like, yo, you did nothing wrong? Or are you like, why would you dare to upcharge for an exclusive item, you skeevy bitch? Both answers I think are valid, because I'm not gonna do it, and I'm not gonna do it again. I've been scared straight. We'll say that much. Okay, next I want to talk about the Kendrick Lamar album, Mr. Morale, and The Big Steppers. I did go ahead and re-listen to this recently, and I was like, I fear I may have misjudged this album because I had kind of categorized it in my head as like a skip or like something I'm not going to come back to. Oh, hold up. Unemployment's calling me. Hello? Yes. This is her. Good. How are you doing? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got 5-10 minutes. We're back. We're back. Talk to unemployment. Probably gonna get denied. Woo! I'll let you know next week. So, okay. So. I mentioned that I had gone back now and listened to Mr. Morale again, and in the year of 2025, whereas this album came out in 2022. So 3 years later, and now in a post Not Like Us world, you know, going back was really, really fun and made me realize like I was kind of sleeping on this album. That is like a pretty big pattern with me where I sleep on really good music. And it's not even like I didn't know about it. And it was like not in my little circle of the internet. I listened to this a couple times and then I just never went back to it. And I like had categorized it in my head as kind of like a skippable album, which is crazy. It's embarrassing to say that out loud. I'm like now having gone back to it, I'm like, this is a really beautiful album. Like, this is a really incredible, like, cultural moment. And because it really eats, like, it's really, really, really fantastic. Like, I feel like some standouts are, like, the song with Taylor, let me get my facts right here. It's called, like, We Cry Together with Taylor Page, where it's like the couple and they're going back and forth and it's Kendrick and Taylor and they're like, fuck you, bitch. And like, it is just, if you've not listened to that song, I would highlight that one, We Cry Together, as like a must listen because it's beautiful and depicts like this relationship that is fraught, and they explore like the role that their gender has played in their upbringing and how they have like moved through the world and how they respect each other or don't respect each other. And it's just so good. And it's like a fight. They're fighting with their words, and it's like, whoa, it's very tense. And you're like, I don't know which side I'm on. Like, damn, I'm like up and down and here and there. So that is a really good one. I'll say there's also a part or there's a song, Anti-Diaries, where Kendrick is talking about his trans family members, which is kind of like, I don't want to say ahead of its time, because like trans people and advocates for trans people have been here for a long time, for a long time. That being said, somebody like big putting their chest and their business like behind trans people in this kind of way with like this is my experience of learning what it is to be trans, and taking the position of like, this is not bad, this is not weird, like, or maybe it is like strange, but it's not wrong, and packaging it in like a nice little bow for like a new audience. Do you know what I mean? It's really good work that Kendrick is doing. Like, Kendrick is honestly doing the diva's work. And so there are a lot of songs on here that like, because I think I described this in the first take of it, that I was like, my initial impression of it was like, this is like man goes to therapy for the first time and like shatters his worldview. And so I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I don't think I was really listening. Well, I was really listening, but I don't think I listened quite hard enough to really value the novelty that I was listening to. I was kind of like, oh, I've heard this all before, like whatever. And that was wrong of me, I think, to like judge this so harshly. And I think coming off of Damn, I love Damn. And so Damn was really my entry point into the Kendrick discography. And so I'm like late to the Kendrick game, relatively speaking. But because of that, I like didn't really super get down with Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly. I like those albums, but they're not ones that I go back to and listen to. Maybe I will now, considering what I feel about Mr. Morale. And the stance that I'm going to take is that, like, those two, Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, I feel are respected as masterpieces. I think Damn is a masterpiece. And I'm about to go out on a limb here and say I think Mr. Morale is a masterpiece in its own right. I think that it is a gorgeous album, and it's full and it's complete and it's sonically interesting and substantially novel. It's very good. And I will go out on the limb all the way to the edge of the leaves and say that I think that Kendrick is only really dropping masterpieces. That said, Untitled Unmastered, have not really listened to it, but you know, that's okay. I'll listen to that too. So there were also nods, like now in a post Not Like Us world, there were nods to the Drake beef in this album, which I think are really funny now, all things considered, looking back. Let me see if I can find one. Maybe with like Crown. I mean, Crown, as far as I remember from just the little blip, he's like talking about carrying the crown of like being the best, and that it's like a heavy weight to carry. And so he's already like, not that is a surprise to anyone, but he had been saying that he was that guy, and I think that he is that guy. Hey guys, me, local white girl, thinks Kendrick is that guy. Alert the local media. He explores his relationship with his dad, which is really slay. And the like, he is not your savior. And I don't know. If you haven't listened to this album, go fucking do it. It's very good. If you liked GNX, I think that you will also like this. Like GNX, the newest Kendrick album, featuring the single Not Like Us. And I feel like GNX is, like, to me, the album kind of blended together, not because it sounds identical each song, but because it's like a very simple kind of production, and the rapping and the lyricism is like really where it stands out. Not to say that the production is like easy or basic, it just like is simple, and like it puts itself as like the platform for everything else to shine, I feel. And so that, in contrast to Mr. Morale feels like it's taking more like risks sonically and creating that kind of like fuller sonic experience, and I think it's really fun. So yeah, that's that on that. Thank you, Kendrick, for releasing such incredible pieces of art. Appreciate you. Next, something very unserious. I have been using the like hang loose symbol, the like surfer bro, like radical right on. I had been using that. I had been trying out the like the rock on for a while, like, but backwards, not like this, obviously. And I even sometimes do this. When I do this more as like a goodbye, but when I'm trying to like communicate to somebody that I am with them and I get it and I understand what they're saying, I'm like, cool, tight. It's quick. It's like right on. Totally hear you, brother. I'm right there with you. And so I like that, because I was doing like in video calls, especially in like 2020, I was hitting a this. But now that it's obviously been co-opted by white supremacists, I'll fucking call you out. Disgusting. So anyway, because of that, I'm doing this and trying out other ones, but I feel pretty comfortable with this, because I think it communicates to people like right on. Like it's like good. It's chill. This one's good too. Like it's like, I get you. We're all friends here. We're safe. So let me know if you use that one down in the comments. Okay, so this next one is going to be a kind of a all over the place topic. Like, you can see here my thesis here is comedy requires intelligence. You have to be smart to be funny. Maybe I don't fully stand on that with my chest and everything, like that you have to be smart to be funny. But it surely does help. Like, people who are like really fucking funny, I think, are always really smart. And like, maybe that's me. Like, I'm sitting here like, well, there's stupid people that are funny, right? And then I'm like, well, who would I call stupid? Like, what makes a person stupid? Because I can have like intellect and smarts and wisdom in different ways. And so I think that comedic intelligence is like interesting and valid and noteworthy kind of intelligence. And so I've listed a couple little notes for myself up here, and I'm going to do the last first. So this came up for me because I was at a wedding this weekend in Boston. Not this past weekend, but actually the weekend prior, because I skipped a week on recording. I know, I'm sorry, guys. I know you guys were all chomping at the bit for this episode, but I had to procrastinate. I was so busy procrastinating. It's ridiculous. It was really hard for me. So I was at this wedding in Boston. Bangin' wedding, by the way. But one of the family members of the bride, his name is Brian, he made this comment in the elevator because one of our like people that we were with, when we were trying to stuff inside the elevator, was like, yeah, we can get like 3 or 4 more bodies in here. And this cracked Brian right up. He thought it was so funny, and he said something like, the alacrity of your comment was just hilarious. And I was like, we're gonna need to Google that one. Didn't know what it was. It does mean like the like cheerful readiness. So he was like, it's really funny that you were so like cheerfully ready to be like asserting like how much space we have and how many bodies could fit in there, to suggest that like he is a serial killer or something that like knows a thing or two about storing bodies in places, and then just like bellowed out a laugh after that. And so Brian was cracked up, and I looked up that word and I was telling Colin about it, and I was like, who is this Brian guy? Like, he was asking a lot of questions, and I was like, so what do we think about him? And Colin was like, well, I think he's a lawyer because lawyers are smart, effectively, and like, you know, convincing talkers. Because now we had been talking to Brian a little bit more in line for drinks, and he was very funny. And I was like, dare I say, he could be a comedian, because comedians are smart. Comedians are smart. And so Colin and I told this to Brian. He said he thought he was a lawyer. It turns out is a lawyer. So Colin read that correctly. Good job, Colin. But I told him that I thought he was a comedian because he's smart and funny. And he was like, oh my God, thank y'all. He was like, diva. He did not do that. He was just like, thanks. And I got a good handshake out of it. So shout out to Brian. It made me think about something that Miss Brittany Broski said, which I'm sure she's not the first to say this, but this was where I heard it, was the like, you have to be smart to be funny. Comedy requires intelligence. And I was like, now what if we took this a step further? Because I love pattern matching, which I don't think is like an exclusive trait to me, or that I'm like especially good at it. I think that we're always pattern matching. Like, that's how we understand the world. But I have been feeling like a little bit more like further on the spectrum towards like autistic, or towards more autistic than non-autistic lately. And I feel that way when I am like diagnosing and debugging like comedy, and then like rehashing it, like seeing the patterns that I've learned out in the wild, and then jumping in and saying like, here was something that could be a setup for this kind of joke, and then I boom, punchline, surprise, like you guys set that joke up for me, and then I came in and killed it, came in and murdered it, came in and fucking serially shot it, and then packed the bodies in. So anyway, I think that comedy requires intelligence because it is a kind of like pattern matching, and like when you see humor, or when you see any kind of pattern, you know, I'm gonna take us through a like quick little math course with all of us. If you're like, oh my fucking God, I really do not want you to do that, bear with me, please. Basically, imagine that you have a data set and you plot the points on your graphs. It's a XY axis, and you have values for x's 0 to 10. And so you plot those points, you see they make this kind of shape, and then through some means you are able to derive some kind of function that says like y equals mx plus b, right? That you're like, there's this some complex function that when I put in the points that I know, I get the answers that I'm supposed to, but I only have data for 0 to 10. So it is like an extrapolation of that data to start guessing what happens when x is 11 or when x is -1, and so on and so forth. And you see then if that pattern, when it's extrapolated, if that function still fits, like if that function still yields you the correct answer. And so I think this applies to comedy, tying this all in here, because we can see like a pattern of jokes, like the setup and the punchline, or the scenario and the circumstance where a particular thing is funny. There's always a kind of like, I think to be on the edges of comedy is to like literally extrapolate beyond what we know to be funny, and it's to like try something else or try something new or try something adjacent. It's the yes and of it all. Like comedy is a very creative, fuck are you calling it? Not are you calling it? What the heck do you call it? A very creative like profession, skill. It's a very creative skill. It's a very creative like hobby. I can't think of the right word. God damn it. But to do that kind of like mental, it is, I don't know, I think it's reflective of intelligence. And so I think what I want to say is not is not that comedy requires intelligence, but it is like symbolic or signifies intelligence. It should be a signal that if somebody is funny and someone's like consistently and regular funny in a way that is not just like regurgitating jokes, that they are smart. And do not underestimate them. With that, we're going to have our last ad read, our last little sponsorship break, and then I'm going to wrap the video up. So stay with me. We've got a content shout out. Boom. Yes. This ad break is brought to us by Harley. Hi, Harley. I love you so much. Ooh. We taught her to touch our face if she wants to be put down. There you go. There it is. See you, Harley. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, team. We are actually going to end the episode here. I'm saving the other topics for next week. That's going to include music updates. That's going to include life updates. That's going to include talking about the musician role model. That's going to talk about how we as individuals, I'm going to talk to you about my journey, I guess, like learning to censor myself from saying uncouth words. And so we'll be talking about like using slurs and stuff like that. And just like the little growth journeys that we go on when we learn eventually that is not okay to say slurs. So anyway, sneak peek to next week. In the meantime, content shout out, Brandon Abstract. This is my friend. And so let me go ahead and show you. This is his channel. And so okay. These like look like silly little clickbait videos, and they are actually really extraordinarily well done, like well produced, well edited, well scripted, and they're really funny. Like Brandon is one of the funnier people in my life that I know, and he really puts his pussy into these videos. It's really funny. It's very good. And he even had a video blow up, like over 1 million views blow up. And so he's been reviewing porn parodies and also has done like other sensational content and funny stuff. It's just very funny. So if you want to giggle, this is a good channel. And I love Brandon. Brandon is great. So with all that being said, this is the end of the episode. I'm trying to keep these episodes like around the 45-minute mark now because that seems to be approachable to my audience of my friends. I love you guys. And so if you like this video, please engage with it. Please drop a like, drop a comment. It really helps on my channel. Yeah. And so if I'm going to be a big YouTuber, I need to have big likes on my big videos. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Audio listeners, appreciate you. And Arthur is maybe hacking up a hairball. Again, let me know in the comments down below if you think I am a good baggu girly or a bad baggu girly. Those are the two options, and I have to be one. Sound off. Anyways, until next week, see you. Bye-bye. Sab out.